Businesses are navigating time of real uncertainties. Every few weeks, geopolitical shifts trigger domino effects that hit supply chain across the whole globe. Hi, I'm Giovanni Formentini and I talk about digitalization, system thinking and industrial innovation. And today I want to talk about the recent China rare earth element export control and what it means. If you want to learn more, I will put a link to the intelligence brief that I co-authored with Dr. Koppler. One of the most pressing topics is the global demand of raw materials, specifically rare earth elements that has been sparked by US tariffs and the ongoing conflicts around the world. What does this mean for European companies and for companies worldwide? Let's start with the basics. What are rare earth elements? These materials are a group of 17 elements. Despite the name, they are actually quite abundant on the earth crust. However, they are dig and mine only in some specific parts of the globe. These materials are critical for military purposes, radar systems, missiles, and so on, but also for civil purpose to enable technologies such as electrical motors, speakers, semiconductor, and so on. Right now, China dominates the market. They mine around 69% of the global demand of rare earth elements, and also they control over 90% of the processing of these special materials. Meanwhile, the European Union has no active mines and import nearly everything from China. And the same goes for USA. In short, the world is almost entirely dependent on China when it comes to rare earth elements. Now let's see what happened recently. On April 5th, China introduced new export control permits for every single batch on rare earth elements shipped out. Then, on June 1st, they launched a traceability portal aiming at achieving 100% traceability of these element exports. This system is being rolled out in phases, and this is designed to selectively approve export and crack down on illegal or non-compliant shipment. According to the Chinese government, this is a way to ensure that these materials are not going to be used to create weapons that maybe in the future can be used against them. But for companies around the world, this has been a huge problem. In the last months, the export of these specific materials has been dropped drastically. In EU, since April, only 25% of the requested import for this material have been approved, and entire production lines have been shut down. In the US, imports dropped of 34.5% in May compared to a year ago. To give you an idea of the impact of these measurements, in the automotive sector, usually companies have 40 to 60 days of stock of these materials. So even 1 or 2 months delay in the incoming batch of new materials can actually halt the production line. The Japanese company Nissan has already stopped the production of one of their cars because of this shortage. The companies that are faced with this disruption are reacting in different ways. Some are paying astronomical prices, from 4 to up to 7 times more, in order to secure the supply chain. Others are reverting to older technologies that are less efficient and do not rely on this material, or they are even stripping out products with features that require these materials, for instance high-end system speakers in cars. Some are trying to find other ways to get this material in Asia or Europe. However, the risks go beyond cost and delay. This export control can undermine business strategy and operation in the future. Basically, from now on, this can happen at any time. But there is also another layer of risk. To get approval, European companies must now disclose information about their product, their clients, and even the manufacturing plant. Andrea Pratesi, who is the supply chain director at an Italian speaker manufacturer, said that he had to submit photos, videos, and redact client order just to get 2 shipments approved. So the situation worldwide is critical. However, there are ways in which companies can react and respond to these risks by leveraging digitalization, upcoming technologies, and methodologies. In the short term, company needs to analyze their product and understand what product needs rare earth elements and why. Then they need to start preparing the digital declaration of critical materials at a component level using systems such as the digital product passport. This is actually a double win. It supports traceability, giving more control and understanding over the product, but also it aligns with the new Critical Raw Materials Act. They need to start partnering up with recyclers, robotic companies and remanufacturers to build a business case for a disassembly hub, which is a place where valuable components and rare earth elements can be recovered and reused. They can invest in research, applying for funding under the Critical Raw Materials Act that is opening this summer, and they can also lobby national governments to support the creation of the so-called important project of common European interest facilities that are focused on rare earth elements disassembly, remanufacturing and recycling. If you want more information about this, you can check the link in the description. In the long term, they need to address the design of the product thoroughly, and the redesign action must be done to make critical materials easier to be recovered. To do so, it is possible to use cutting-edge methodologies such as the design for circular disassembly. All of these approaches has been proved and tested successfully on other companies. Let me leave you with a successful story. We all know Apple as a tech company. However, only few know that they have been investing heavily on ways to recover critical raw materials from their old products, critical in their supply chain. Guess what? Today, for some of their critical raw materials, they reach the 100% independency, meaning that they are able to create new products using material that are recycling from old iPhones. And there is also a catch, that's the best part. They found out that the quality of the recycled material is actually higher than the material they were used to buy new. So that's definitely a win-win. Alright, the die is cast. Global business landscape has changed and now it's time to act. Whether it's adapting in the short term or designing for a resilience in the long term, companies that are able to act fast are the ones that will survive and thrive in this new environment. On a personal note, I think that it's time to see circular economy as a contingency rather than a cost, because as we learned today, supply chain disruption is the real cost.